So that's my review for the 1987 horror classic Child's Play, Drumdums Out. So I finally saw Good Boy. He saw it too. Good Boy stars Indy, Shane Jensen, and is directed by Ben Lowenberg. What's up, guys? Welcome to a brand new 2025 review. No, I'm not going to hold Levi throughout this entire video, but I figured I'd hold him right now just to say that this is dedicated to Levi. I am sure I'm not the only reviewer to dedicate this review to their dog, but Levi's been there since the beginning. 10 years now. Levi's been, I think he was in the first video was the Halloween 6 Producer's Cut review, one of my first reviews, but yeah, Levi's always been there. I'm going to put him down now, and then we're going to continue the review, okay? I'm going to put him down. And I think Levi sees a ghost because he's literally just, he won't sit down. And maybe that's because of his age. But he'll eventually sit down once he figures out what's going on. Poor little guy. It seems like every year there's sort of a novelty type movie where it's not filmed in the traditional sense. And I'm not talking about like studio versus independent. I'm talking about taking it even further and coming up with sort of a gimmicky little idea that kind of strikes a chord in the movie zeitgeist, I guess, or just the movie culture. This year, one of them is definitely Good Boy, because the entire movie is from the point of view of a dog named Indy. And the dog is the main character of the movie. That doesn't mean that you're never going to see the dog and you're just kind of seeing, like, dog view, what the dog sees. No, you see some of that, but just imagine instead of a person being the main character, because when we watch movies with people that are the main character, that doesn't mean we're seeing their point of view the entire time. No, it just means they're the main character. Well, Indy is the main character, and oftentimes you see his point of view, everything kind of being from the waist up, even if the camera is facing him, right? But I think that's just to bring you down to his level because, he is the main character of the movie. Everything that is happening in this movie is happening to him. So, yeah, that's sort of the point of this movie. Quick plot synopsis. There are humans in this movie, of course. Indy's owner is this guy by the name of Todd. He has stage 4 cancer. He's got this sister, Todd does, by the name of Vera, who's always kind of checking in on him via the phone. You don't really see her that much in the movie. I think like many cancer patients, and I can't speak for them because I've luckily never had cancer. I have family members, distant family members that have had cancer. My father actually had cancer and beat it back when I was a teenager. Oh my God, I could do a whole video on my father. The guy has been through an insane amount of life, okay? In terms of like being sick, and like he just had a stroke a couple of years ago. But, me and my sister always joke, he'll be the last man standing. The guy has just been through hell and he just keeps pushing forward. So, but yeah, he did have cancer probably like 30 years ago. I can't believe it's been that long. Feels like yesterday. But the main character in this movie, yeah, he has cancer. And I think he just wants to get away. And he goes to his deceased grandfather's house to kind of take over the house. And really, I think he just wants to be alone. And he takes Indy with him. And it's really sweet. And it's beautiful. But this is a ghost story from a dog's point of view. That house that he goes to is haunted. And there is this like videotape that's left behind with the grandfather. The grandfather had his own dog, which factors into the story. But this is a very quiet movie. There's not that much dialogue. And I think given the premise and the subgenre of horror being a ghost story, that sort of suits it. I think the actual setting and even the cinematography in this movie feels like a character, because this movie depends on shadows and not knowing what's in those shadows, if something's going to come out of those shadows, and even Indy's reaction to what he might see in those shadows. And it is interesting having a cancer patient in this movie who is nearing death. He has stage 4 cancer, and I think mixing that in a haunted house type environment only sort of adds to the horror, you know, because he might have one foot in death's door. Now, going into the backstory of this movie, I know that they spent like 3 years making this, you know, just shooting, I guess, little shots here and there, on and off, maybe like a weekend shooting type excursion. Probably the filmmakers having day jobs and doing this, again, like on the weekends. And, you know, that's inspiring. And you can see the budget in this movie. You can see that they probably squeezed every penny they could to make this movie the best they can, putting probably most of their money in the equipment, you know, and maybe even the lighting. And there are some minor special effects in the movie, of course, being that it is sort of a ghost story. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is Indy, the dog. I mean, you know, the dog, he's definitely not acting. He's being coached. His owner, whoever his owner is, does a really fantastic job of, I guess, navigating and maneuvering this dog for each shot. And I do know something about this, okay? Because if you go over on my second channel, Drumdums Xtra, which I created, I think a year and a half ago, I did that because I had too much content, and a lot of it was like clips and stuff like that, so I put stuff over there. But one advantage that I didn't think of at the time was I could actually make shorts, some cool shorts, and put them over there. Not just talking head type shorts, although I have done 1 or 2 of those. I'm just not a shorts guy. But my wife actually had this idea, let's make shorts with Levi and get really, really creative. And if you go over there, I think we have like half a dozen. Different shorts, and those shorts, each one of them were kind of a weekend project, and sometimes we would spend a day or two working on each one of them. And I think you could probably tell when you watch them, because some of them involve like special effects. We even had like a green screen up for Levi, and Levi was the star of every single one of them. So this movie made me kind of reminisce about making those shorts, and I think we did that like a year ago, something like that. But they're also horror-based, you know, one on The Thing, one on Signs, one on Child's Play, and they were really fun. If you get a chance, definitely check them out. But, you know, getting back to this movie, Good Boy, I think it is very effective. I think this is a slow burn for sure, and I think if you watched half of this movie and you had to like walk away from it, or maybe you just fell asleep, which happened to me the first time I tried to watch it. I was really tired though. I can't blame it on the movie. I was exhausted from work, and I don't try to watch movies right after work, but today I was in a better frame of mind. I watched the movie. But yeah, again, this is a slow burn. I don't think it's necessarily a boring movie if you are alert and, you know, into it. But this is not an action-packed type of movie. And you don't see a lot of human interaction in the movie. Most of it is with the dog. Yes, Todd is in the movie reacting to the dog here and there, but most of the time it is Indy. And that can only be so interesting. Luckily, the movie does pick up at a certain point, you know, leaning on the story and this haunting that happens to be in this house. And, you know, the final act definitely saves the movie, for sure. And I think most people would cut movies like this slack just because you can see the blood, sweat, and tears that went into making them. You can see, I guess, the backyard directing approach. And again, I know something about that, having filmed a lot of little shorts with Levi, and just me and my wife being the only ones that could, you know, film the thing. And a lot of times I'm actually in the video with him. Now, jumping into the horror aspect of this movie, don't go into this movie thinking you're going to be, you know, scared out of your mind. It's just not going to happen. I'll even say this isn't like even like Signs. So like Signs had some genuine scares in it. I don't think this movie is chock full of scares or anything like that. I do think it is inventive. Don't get me wrong. I think you could come up with a unique idea and it still not be that scary, that effective, I guess. I don't like using the word that scary because nothing has scared me since, I was a kid. But what I mean is creating a scare with a scene and it being effective without scaring a grown adult. But I think it's beautifully filmed. I think the cinematography is wonderful in the movie. I think Indy is definitely the star, and you can't help but love this dog. He is just the sweetest thing ever. And, you want him to survive so bad. So at least you have a character there that you really can get behind. And this isn't the first movie that had a dog that is sort of, center stage. You could go all the way back to like freaking Old Yeller, Lassie. It's nothing new. I think it's just a different approach. And guys, I think a lot of us, we love our pets. We love our dogs. We love our cats. I'm a dog person. So I think this movie, it was just a nice little treat. That's what this movie was. It's only like 70 minutes, something like that. Will you ever watch it again? Maybe not. Maybe not. But I still, I think it is a movie that you might want to show a friend. I think this is perfect, like gateway horror. If you want to show somebody that's not really into horror. Oh, this is something that I feel is kind of safe for them to watch, that won't like totally freak them out. Also got to mention Larry Fassenden. I think that they probably put a good amount of their budget into him because he's the only star that you will recognize. He plays the grandfather. He's been in a few things like You're Next. We Are Still Here, which I highly recommend. That is one of the most effective little ghost stories. Really reminded me of The Fog in terms of like the makeup effects for the ghost. Yeah, watch that movie after you watch this movie if you want to get freaked out, because this is not going to freak you out, okay? So overall, I think I'm going to give this a high humdrum. I think that's a fair rating. And I think I'm just giving it that because, again, I don't know if I'll ever feel the need to watch this again. But I appreciate the effort that was put into it, okay? And so I'll recommend it to you guys, for sure. Definitely check out Good Boy. It's in theaters right now. And let me know what you guys think down in the comments, okay? And maybe, if you got a dog or a cat, say something about your pet in the comments. Go ahead. I'd love to know more about your pets, all right? Also, be sure to come over to Killer Flicks, where we talk horror all day and every day. And on Fridays, we do a few of our Fridays. Follow me at Drumdums on my socials. Support me on Patreon. Become a channel member. Buy me a coffee. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Drumdum out.